Let me greet my brother. So then, Gaa! We will have to shift to his side of the story to understand what he was really about. And if we shift to his side of the story, if there was anyone to tell his side of the story, we probably will be hearing things like that he wanted the best for Oyo. And if they were not delivering it, he understood the kind of power that he had to unseat the Alaafins until somebody that meets those expectations will come into power.
It's human, you know. When you have a lot of power, it definitely intoxicates you. You know, that's what happened to the guy. And, you know, when you are acquiring power unchecked, that's what usually happens. We're seeing it happen in Nigeria. You know, yeah.
So there's a lot of war, violence, power, the greed and the search for power and what people would do to retain power. And I think that's the story. His life is reflective in so many other things that you see around us in Nigeria today and all over the world. So I think the real story, the essence of this movie is that I want to portray what people would do to gain power and to retain power, and that's what the story is about.
We saw Bashorun Gaa in Rise of the Spectre, and now you interacted with him a lot. I mean, not one-on-one, but the story of Aralake, you, Bashorun Gaa, there was a connection, and then Bashorun Gaa here. What is the world building?
Bashorun. His name is Gaa.
Yes.
The Bashorun in Anikulapo is not Gaa. And meanwhile, that is more of a fiction. But this is a real life account of the then Bashorun that was on at a certain time during the Oyo Empire's reign. Yeah.
Because I was going to ask if...
No, there's no connection.
There's no connection.
No, that pure fiction.
Thank you.
Pure fiction. Bashorun is the title, you know, of their position. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that.
Right.
You know, I'm young, of course, and I'm not sure if this story of Bashorun Gaa is a proud part of our history. What do you think about that?
Everybody, everywhere in the world, there's one particular history that we're not so proud about. But this is where we started from. Don't forget that. It maybe didn't happen that way, but you won't be here today the way I am. So something has got to start. So, okay, let me put it to you. As a young person, you say, okay, these people said, now, wow, what can I do to change that? Not for the negative, but for the positive. You understand what I'm saying? So it's going to push you forward. You see, it's the time we start making historical movies that will tell the world out there who we are. Because if you, as an individual, as a black person, anyone in the world, don't even understand yourself, how do you begin to understand what other people are saying about you? You know what I mean? Good.
We had FRK.
Right.
And now we have House of Gaa.
Correct.
Historical stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious as to why we're having more of that from, BAB.
Well, I guess it's because our stories are, let me use our local word, sweet. Our stories are sweet. You know, we have a lot of history, that are pretty much hidden from most of us. And sometimes when you hear this story, you wonder, wow, so we have this kind of stories, nobody's telling them. So when we come across such stories, we want to tell them, not because they are sweet, let me use that word again, but also because they are a representation of our history and our culture. You can tell the story of your life, of your history, of your culture through film. And what it does is that it conserves it for the future generations. It's good for entertainment, it's good for education, it's good for information, and it's good for conservation. So we try to see how we can, tell these stories. Like we always say, if we don't, somebody else will tell it, and they will not tell it the right way.
When you watch this movie, you begin to relive history. It's one thing to go to school to read about Bashorun Gaa, but it's another thing to actually visually see it. Then you will have a better connection to what you've read. You understand what I'm saying? For the young ones who didn't understand the legacy that these people have left, you understand? This movie is going to open their eyes, in-depth understanding of culture and tradition, as it were. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, Gaa is not just a movie for you to just watch, but it's for you to reconnect back to what we were as a people, especially from the southwestern part of Nigeria, so to speak.
Bashorun Gaa ṣe dàgbà. Kẹ́hìn ojú mi máa rìn. Àjẹdàgbà. Kọ́ndé. Wọ́n dúró dè ọ́ títí tí ó fi padà bọ̀.
Ìwọlé sí ẹ̀gbin lájànàkú. Yàgò!